Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video for the channel. Just when everyone was thinking that I didn't have any more video ideas for Coldplay, here I come back again, bitch. I'll just use all my knowledge and just fucking intelligence to find new video ideas for Coldplay on this fucking channel. This time I bring you this question: is Coldplay overrated or not? The reason why I wanted to do this video is because I think it's a really interesting topic. The thing is that even though a lot of people hate Coldplay, not only Coldplay but the entire fan base, I haven't seen many people saying that Coldplay is overrated. They often just say that they're annoying and whatever. But looking at their discography, their singles, their popularity, their influence, is Coldplay overrated or not? To start this video properly, I think that it's pretty much obvious and no one thinks that much about Coldplay. It is true that they're one of the most, famous and popular bands in the world right now, but no one really says that Coldplay is the greatest band ever. So that's one really important thing, because in order for you to be overrated, then someone actually has to say that you're the best. I think that most of the people that enjoy Coldplay's music just like the music and that's it. They don't really need to compare the band with any other in order for them to enjoy the music. But I have seen a decent amount of people saying that they're probably the best alternative rock band. Now, is that true? Well, probably not. You don't really need to know that much about music to know that there are many other bands that do the same type of music that Coldplay does, even contemporary bands way better. Another band would be Radiohead, a comparison that has been made thousands of times, but in recent times, ever since the 2000s, it's really complicated to compare Coldplay with Radiohead, because it is true that they left alternative rock behind to make things like Kid A and Amnesiac. I know they came back to it with In Rainbows, but still, it's not the same. But if you were to compare the alternative rock albums that Radiohead was releasing in the 90s, then they're way better than most of Coldplay's discography. So, I guess that if you actually find someone that says that Coldplay is one of the best alternative rock bands, then that would be a huge exaggeration. Now, if you want to say that Coldplay is one of the most popular alternative rock bands, then that's another thing, and maybe you'll be right. Because it's pretty much obvious, that every single country, continent, and even fucking planet with their latest album, there's Coldplay in it. You can't escape the fucking thing. It doesn't matter if you go to a shopping mall or you go even to a club, and yes, I have heard a few Coldplay songs in a club. Don't judge me. It wasn't a great club, but the song was there. You find Coldplay everywhere, and that is something really important, because if you actually find them everywhere, then that means they're doing something right. But the thing is that even though you find them everywhere, you always listen to the same 4 fucking songs. It's either, them playing The Scientist, it's either them playing Hymn for the Weekend, Fix You, or Yellow. Those are the songs they play. And yes, they're playing the song. It doesn't matter if they don't know who they are, but that wouldn't really be true, because with other popular things like the Beatles with Beatlemania and this kind of thing, or for example the Arctic Monkeys, everyone knew who they were. So yes, I think that Coldplay in terms of popularity may be one of the most popular bands, but not really for the right reasons. It isn't because of how much people listen to their music, to their entire catalog of songs, but because of 5 songs that were really popular when they were released, and now the songs somehow offer a sense of nostalgia. But I'll dare to say that in terms of popularity, Coldplay is not overrated at all. They have made some huge hits, and that's pretty much enough to not be overrated in terms of how famous they are. In terms of songwriting, it's really hard to to answer, because I myself have praised Chris Martin for his songwriting ability. On this channel, I have a video ranking the top 100 Coldplay songs, and if you see that video, you know that most of the list, I only say positive things about the songs, because I do believe that Chris Martin, it's a really good songwriter, and the rest of the boys are just really great musicians as well. But I think it's fair to say that with the years, Coldplay's songwriting has been more and more repetitive and boring, and just forgettable. And when you have heard as much music as I have, and when you have listened to fucking thousands and thousands of albums, that Coldplay's catalog isn't really all that impressive. When you look at albums like Parachute, I Rush Up to the Head, Viva La Vida, you will find some amazing songs. Most of the tracks on these three albums are just perfect. But move to albums like X and Y, Paradise, Ghost Stories, A Head Full of Dreams, Everyday Life, fucking Music of the Spheres. It feels like the rest of the discography has a lot of forgettable tracks in there. If you listen to the song, then okay, it's a nice song, but when you're working or you're doing whatever, you're not thinking about the song. The song doesn't really leave anything in you. Believe me, I could be working or exercising and doing whatever, even watching TV or listening to another album and remembering a song from, I don't know, Tommy by The Who, because these are songs that were so impressive when I first heard them. Not exactly because of the how complex the song was, but only because of how nice it sounded and how much of an impact it had on me. I could tell you the entire track list in order of the entirety of the Beatles discography. The same thing I could do with Led Zeppelin, the same thing I could do with Joy Division, the same thing I could do with the Smiths. What I'm trying to say is that even if I tried, I couldn't name you every single song on X and Y, and believe me, I've heard that album fucking 100 times. So what I'm trying to say is that even though there are not many bad songs on Coldplay's catalog, there aren't many memorable songs either. Let me tell you, the top 30, it's filled with amazing songs, but the rest of the songs are just not as impressive. So I'm guessing that yes, it's a bit overrated. Now let's go with discography, and this is way more complicated. One thing is judging the songs, and then a whole different thing is judging the entire fucking album. It's way more complicated, and you need more explanations for it. So in this case, it's a bit weird. I don't really know what to say. I do like most of the albums that Coldplay has released. I have a video on this channel ranking their entire discography if you'd like to check that out, for a more detailed explanation on why this album is good or why that album is bad. But to keep it short, I believe that the first half of Coldplay's career was really impressive. I believe that albums like Parachutes was, that album was a great fucking debut, and then A Rush of Blood to the Head showed that Coldplay had, much more in his veins rather than just alternative rock music and soft rock. Then X and Y, even though for me it was a huge flop, it still showed that the band was trying out some new sounds and evolving into something different. And then in Viva La Vida, we saw that something different that Coldplay was beginning to show on X and Y, Viva La Vida being my favorite Coldplay album. Then with Paradise, I believe that Coldplay started to lose the way and started to release albums based more on how the songs would sound live rather than how the album sounds. The result of that is basically an album that sometimes you have an amazing song, a fucking tremendous song, and then you have a piece of shit, a song that isn't really all that great when played in the studio, but when played live it's just fine. Then you have Ghost Stories, and I think that this is the point where everything went wrong, because even though this album has some good songs, it feels way too simple and way too, effortless. And even though sometimes that can be a good thing, in this case it wasn't, and I believe that it completely ruined the good streak of albums that Coldplay had until that time. Then you have A Head Full of Dreams. That album is both a bit better and way worse than Ghost Stories, because again, it has some amazing songs, definitely has a better track list, but the songs that are bad are fucking horrendous. Then you have Everyday Life. For me, that was a huge comeback for Coldplay after two albums that were just not it. This time in Everyday Life, I saw them with more energy than ever, and Chris Martin more focused in his, in the amount of ways he could tweak his songwriting into different types of Coldplay. Because the album has a lot of different genres in it, but you still feel like it's a Coldplay song. And then you have Music of the Spheres that isn't precisely what I call a good album. It was actually pretty bad. So for me, I believe that Coldplay in terms of discography is quite overrated, because this is true that many people grab albums like A Rush Up to the Head and Viva La Vida and hold them to use, to make the argument that Coldplay is one of the greatest bands ever. But really, that's the only thing you have to make that argument, because even albums like Parachutes and Milo Salito are not that great, are just good albums. So yeah, I mean, they are quite overrated in this sense. So yeah, I mean, Coldplay is one of my favorite bands, and I do have a lot of love for the band. But when I do these videos, I often try to, take my personal taste out of the video so I can make a proper, a proper opinion about the subject that I'm talking about. And when it comes to Coldplay, I have to admit that after you take, the fan part away, you kind of see a lot of flaws and a lot of things, that the band hasn't been doing well for the past, 10 years or so. Maybe, the boys from Coldplay don't really want to, to be seen as one of the greatest or anything like that. They just want to make good music and that's it. And I totally respect that. I don't really have a problem with it. It's crazy to listen to a song like Daylight or Clocks or Viva La Vida or Strawberry Swing and then listen to Higher Power or My Universe or Let Somebody Go and, think that this is the same person writing these songs. I love Chris Martin as a person. I think he's an amazing guy. The rest of the band as well, Will, Guy, and Johnny. I really like them, and I really like the way that they're humble and, fame didn't got up in their head. And I really love that they still enjoy making music today. And, the live presentations are amazing. I'm judging the music, and in terms of music, I believe the band is in a hole that I don't really know if they will be able to get out, or I don't even know if they want to get out of that hole. That is just my opinion. But overall, right now, as of today, I believe that Coldplay is a really overrated band. So yeah, even though I love Coldplay, I have to say that they're quite overrated. That is it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. Please remember this is only my personal opinion, so if you have a different one, then go ahead and leave it down below in the comments and I'll make sure to check it out. With that being said, guys, I really hope I can see you soon with a new video, but until then, bye.